So now that we've done some practice, let's work on this chart. So let's see, over here we've got 1 meter, and in centimeters that's, 100, or 1 times 10 to the second. In millimeters, because millimeters are even smaller, that would be 1,000, or 1 times 10 to the third. For 2 meters, the same, except it would be 2 times 100, or 2 times 10 to the second. Because if every meter has 100 centimeters, then 2 meters is going to be 2 times 100. So let's fill this in for 3. So let's see, centimeters, that's going to be 3 times 100. And another way of saying 100 is 10 to the second. So 3 times 10 to the second. And then millimeters, it's going to be 3 times 1,000, or 3 times 10 to the third, because 10 to the third and 1,000 are the same. All right, on your own, I'd like you to fill in for meters 4 and 5, and then we'll move on to problem 2 once you're done. So if we have a line that's 1 and 37/100 meters, or 1 meter and 37 centimeters, we know that because there's 100 centimeters in a meter and 37/100 of a meter. 37 centimeters. So what fraction of a whole meter is 37 centimeters? We kind of already got that. Write your answer as a decimal fraction. We have the decimal fraction. It's 37/100. 37 centimeters is 37/100 of a whole meter. If I took a meter and divided it into 100 pieces, 37 of those pieces would be 37 centimeters. So then how many centimeters is equal to 1 and 37/100? Well, I already know that this right here is 37 centimeters. So then 1 meter, well, that equals 100 centimeters. So I've got 100 centimeters and 37 centimeters. Okay, so then in 1 and 37/100 meters, there are 137 centimeters. You see how, we've got 137. I just moved my decimal. That's all I had to do. So if I wanted to use an exponent, well, I know that my decimal moved 2 places, so that means my exponent has to match, so it'll be times 10 to the second. Now when it asks us here, what's the conversion factor? What did we have to multiply by to get our answer? 10 to the second? Or I would also accept 100, since isn't 110 to the second the exact same thing? For this next problem, we're not using centimeters, we're using millimeters. And I want you to stop and think to yourself for a sec. Are millimeters bigger than centimeters or smaller than centimeters? I hope you said smaller. Millimeters are smaller than centimeters. Because they're smaller, that means we need more of them to cover the same distance. So how many millimeters are equal to 2 6/10 meters? Well, I know that milli means 1,000. So there's 1,000 millimeters in a meter, so then I've got my 2 6/10. So 1,000 has 3 zeros, so I've got to move my decimal 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Let's add some extra zeros to it. Oh, okay. So 2,600 millimeters. So 2,000, that's a ton of millimeters. Now, reverse it. So we've got 2,600 millimeters equals 2,600 divided by, 1,000. Oh, okay, so multiplying and divide, we can go both ways. From millimeters to meters, meters to millimeters. All right, now brave 5th graders, I want you to give this problem a shot, all on your own. If it's taking you longer than 2 or 3 minutes, go ahead and raise your hand so I can help you out. Psst, there's a really big hint for problem 3. It's reminding us kilo means 1,000. So we've got kilograms and grams. So kilos 1,000. So these kilograms are bigger. These are small. But remember, because they're small, that means you'll probably need more of them. So we know we're working with 1,000, or 10 to the third. Let's keep that in mind. So our cat weighs 4 5/10 kilograms. That is a huge cat. How many grams is it? So once again, grams are smaller. So the same weight in grams is going to be a much bigger number. Grams are tiny, so we need way more grams to equal the same amount of weight. So since we know we need more of the grams, we know we're multiplying. Times what? Times 1,000, or 10 to the third. So we've got our 4 and our 5. So we're going to start right here where our decimal is. 1, 2, 3. And go ahead and fill in 2 zeros for me. So that's 4,500 grams. What an enormous cat. All right, and then we've got a dog that weighs 6,700 grams, so it's even bigger than our huge cat. We're dividing to kilograms. Okay, so kilograms are huge. A kilogram is a lot of weight. So I know I'm not going to need as many kilograms as I need grams. Since I'm going to a smaller number, I know I'm dividing. What am I going to divide by? 1,000. Because kilo means 1,000. So how am I going to do that? You know what I'm on about, my friends. It's all about moving that decimal. So I'm going to write my same digits in. And I'm going to start where my decimal was here, and I'm going to move it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So 6 7/10 kilograms. Now, if I wanted to keep all my digits and write 6 700 thousandths, that's okay. That's actually the same number, but this one is just a little nicer and neater and shorter. So what's the conversion factor for both problems? What number did we have to multiply and divide by for both of those? 1,000. All right, go ahead and solve those on your own, please. Raise your hand if you get stuck. So the baker uses 6/10 of a liter of vegetable oil to bake brownies. How many milliliters of vegetable oil did he use? Well, the first thing we have to ask, what's our conversion factor? What number are we multiplying or dividing by? Well, we've got liters, we've got milliliters. So, okay, so that's 1,000. So our conversion factor, CF, equals 1,000. So that's one thing we figured out. So now we know we're starting with 6/10. And we're doing something with 1,000. Are we multiplying or are we dividing? Milliliters are much smaller than liters. So if we're figuring out how many milliliters we need, we know we have to multiply. Because with tiny, tiny milliliters, we're going to need a ton of them to get to the amount of vegetable oil. So 6/10 times 1,000. Well, let me get my 6. And my decimal point started right here. And how many times am I going to move it? 3 times for the 3 zeros in 1,000. So 1, 2, 3. Let's go back and put those zeros in. 600 milliliters of vegetable oil. That's a lot of oil. Those are going to be some greasy brownies. But then he's asked to make 100 batches for a customer. How many liters of oil will he need? All right, they're trying to trick you there. How many liters? So are you using this number? No, you are not, because that's milliliters. So you're starting up here. So let's see, 6/10. Well, if he's asked to make 100 batches, so if I use 6/10 for every batch, then I know that I just have to multiply by 100. You take it from there. You can do the rest.